There's a misconception that measuring employee and organizational performance works completely against getting and building employee engagement, and those two things in total get in the way of executing strategy. These are one system and they work together smoothly. We're going to show you how, with the existing frameworks in your organization, the scorecards, dashboards, financial reports, process improvement activities you've done like Lean, Six Sigma, OKRs, and so forth, are all part of the same answer. So here's the thing. We're really trying to balance two things in the organization. How do we ensure strategic alignment, that what we do works consistent with the strategy and all of our efforts are pulling in the same direction, and building employee engagement? So the strategy side is pretty straightforward. Overall, we need to capture your strategy and make that visible and operational. From there, we can translate that down to the goals of teams and individuals in the organization, and from there, we cascade those down to objectives and key results. That's the strategy alignment side. The employee engagement side has three major components. Overall, we know that people need to understand what is their purpose and how are they contributing to the success of the organization. Then we need to give them the competencies and capabilities and capacity to master that activity. And then finally, we have to leave them alone. We have to give them the autonomy to go off and get those activities done. And I'm going to show you how this becomes one system. This makes sense academically. How do we actually go off and execute it? Well, for most organizations, it's pretty straightforward. We take your existing strategy documents and out of that extract the key strategic objectives that your organization is expected to achieve. And again, those are usually well documented either in strategic plans or business plans, budgets, and so forth. Now, my preference is to capture them in a balanced scorecard and, in fact, a strategy map within that. A strategy map takes those objectives and describes them in terms of their performance against either value consuming activities or value building. So value building, these are how I'm going to build better learning and growth foundational elements or enablers, and how we're going to grow better processes. Based on that, we're going to translate those into either happy customers or happy bankers. So what does that look like? These objectives actually work together towards success. How are we going to achieve our financial goal? Well, we have to make our customers happy. To make our customers happy, there's three things we need to do. And we should be able to show how those relate to each other to contribute to overall success. This is called a strategy map. In fact, this strategy map, we can then overlay it with what our strategic priorities are for this period of time. In this example, I've described this department focusing on building a skilled and empowered workforce in order to improve their speed, agility, and innovation in order to partner for success. So the strategy map merely tells the story of what your current strategy is and can be used in communications and so forth. But if we overlay that indicators of how we're performing, we can now make those turn red, yellow, green based on how we're performing against target and clearly see where the parts of the business are that we need to focus our time. Now, if we take that strategy map, we can then identify the strategic objectives and priorities, and across the top, the core activities of the organization. And we can assess the impact of each activity, be it a process or project, on strategic success, and identify the key goals inside the organization. In fact, if we identify the measures for these, we can then begin building dashboards that describe how we're moving towards these success elements. So now, if I were to drill into one of these strategic objectives, I can understand those cause and effect, root cause and outcome activities. So that's the strategy side. What we should now be able to do is take those two elements and sort them by team, department, group, and identify what that team, department, or group does towards the success of the overall organization. In fact, we can begin applying game mechanics to this, things like allocating strategy points for those activities. And based on your role, let's say you're using a RACI framework, what your contribution has been to that performance. In addition, we can overlay projects you're working on, development you've done, developing you're doing for other people, like being a mentor or a coach, and feedback, internal, external, ad hoc, and formal. So now we have an employee scorecard. We can overlay things like leaderboards, leveling up, those sorts of things. So what have we done? We've said we need to capture your strategy, and best practice is capturing it through a strategy map. understand what are the driving goals beneath that, use this ontology mechanism, and from there we can identify what are the objectives and key result areas. Based on that, we can then build team, employee, departmental scorecards that allow everyone to contribute to the overall success. So I'm describing this as one system, and it should be integrated, even though the books you read make it sound like they're three different things because they're written by three different authors. Anyhow, if you'd like to explore this more, please just give me an email and I'd be happy to show you case studies that relate to your organization or industry. Thanks for your time.